Hey guys, Young here. Today I'm going to be going over 5 tips that everyone should know when you play JAYCE mid. I might have covered some of these tips in some of my shorts or some of my videos, but I'm just going to make a all-around video. So yeah, let's get right into the video. Let's go over the ranged form interactions you should know when you play JAYCE. The most important thing you should know is how to QE properly. A lot of bad JAYCEs will QE with the E kind of far away from their character. Just try to get used to Eing right on top of yourself as you shoot your Q. It's faster and it's harder to react to. It'll take some time to get used to, but this is the most important thing when you're in range form. There's some other interactions you should know. One of them is that your W is an auto reset, so try to auto before activating it if you can, to get 4 autos off instead of 3, like this. And the only other interaction that's kind of important is your Q gives vision, so if you hit something, you can use it to like go over a wall like this, or when you're like, let's say you're face checking Baron, you can QE like that to check the Baron health. That's about it for range form. Now I'm going to go over the hammer form interactions you should know. The most important one I think is knowing that if you're right next to an opponent and you E them, you can get an extra auto off like that. I'll show you guys if you're far away. As you can see, can't get an auto off. Another important interaction is, I can't show it right now, but if you have W activated and you're on top of an invisible enemy like a Kali or Shaco, you'll reveal them kind of like Red Trinket, so that's useful to look out for whenever you're laning versus an Akali. And the last important interaction you should know about is that your Q is AoE, so if an enemy is standing far back in lane and you don't really have the range to hit them with melee Q, as you can see, it's AoE, so you can Q onto a minion and it will hit them. Here's an example of using your Q AoE when you're in melee form. As you can see, this Ori is not giving me range, but I Q on a minion and pick up an easy kill. And last but not least, the last thing you should know is if you're in range form and you W and you switch to melee form, as you can see, you will get the attack speed from the range W. So that's about it for the mechanics. Another tip I have is it's really important that you're there before a big objective spawns. Let's say, for example, let's say dragon is spawning in 20 seconds from now, and I'm mid lane. Let's say I'm winning versus my lane opponent. I push my lane, and it's just really nice to be ready to sit in any of these bushes and sit in fog and get ready to poke anyone coming in to fight the objective. This is how you need to play your champ. You're not a split pusher really. You can be, but you're kind of a poke champ. So my biggest tip is just be ready for big objectives to contest and be ready to poke. And on top of that, always try to be in fog when you're poking. If an enemy sees you like this and they're walking in, they're gonna anticipate a QE. So try to stand in bushes and just shoot them where they don't have vision of you, but you have vision. That's kind of how you should play JAYCE as a poke champ. Another tip I would say is important is don't always hammer 4 men. Only hammer 4 men if you know you're not going to die or you won't get punished too hard, because a lot of new JAYCE players I see will always be really excited to hammer 4 men, but a lot of the times it'll just lead to you dying. So just get used to poking and making use of your ranged form and hammer in when you know you won't die, pretty much. Because if you watch Challenger JAYCEs, you'll notice that they don't really hammer in unless they'll live. My last tip is just get used to all the different runes you can take on JAYCE. In mage matchups, I like phase rush. In assassin matchups where there's a lot of burst, I like going electrocute. Right now, grasp is popular because of the tank build. But my point is, don't stick to one rune. I think there's a lot of different runes you can use on this champ. You can even go conquer if you're in like a heavy fighting matchup like Silas. But my main point is just try not to get used to one rune, because I think if you want to be able to play this champ, you need to learn how to use every different rune correctly.